After watching this video, you'll be able to describe social coding principles and recognize how pair programming creates better code and better programmers. What is social coding? I like to call it open source for inner source. Social coding is something that the open source community has been doing for years. What's new is bringing these concepts into the enterprise and coding as a community on internal projects. In the past, developers worked in private repositories, and you had to be a member of the team to contribute. Everything was controlled by access control lists and a strict need-to-know basis. The problem with that is no one knows you're working on it. So there's no possibility of reusing code because no one even knows it exists. So enterprises continually reinvent the wheel because no one knows the wheel has already been built. With social coding, repositories are public, and everyone's encouraged to fork the code and contribute. This is a hugely different way of thinking. Development teams love to think, this is my code, no one else can touch it, but they need to get over that for the good of the company. You would think that anarchy would ensue, but actually it works quite well because it's controlled by the repository owner. The person who owns the repository is still in complete control of the contributions. What problem is social coding solving? Well, let's say you see a component. It's 80% of what you need, but there's some missing features. How do you add those missing features? You now have a decision to make. Do you make a feature request to the repo owner for a new feature and risk that your request will be at the bottom of their priority list, or worse, their funding gets cut and your request will be cut out first? Or do you rebuild 100% of the code just to get the 20% that you need, so as not to have a dependency on another team? It's sad to report, but many teams select the latter and reinvent the entire wheel just to get the functionality they need. This is a huge waste of resources for any company, but it happens all the time. So, how does adopting social coding principles solve this? Well, you discuss a new feature with a repo owner, and you agree to develop it for them. This allows you to leverage everything that they've done and add the feature that you need. You open up a GitHub issue, and you assign it to yourself so everyone knows you're working on it. Then, you fork the repo, create a branch, make your changes. When you're all done, you have something to contribute back. Well, then you issue a pull request and signaling that you're ready for review. The repo owner can decide whether to merge your code back into the main project. The repo owners are in full control. They can ask for changes because they do the merge. They can ask you to write more test cases if you don't have adequate test coverage. They treat you and your contribution like any other member of the team. This is a win-win situation. You get to leverage another team's code and all the functionality that you need. And the other team gets a feature added for free. The company saves money because code's being reused instead of rewritten, and everyone is happy. This is how open source works, and this is how companies should treat their inner source. Pair programming is an aspect of social coding that is taken from extreme programming. It consists of two programmers sharing a single workstation, one screen, one keyboard and mouse between the pair. The programmer at the keyboard is usually called the driver. The other programmer, also actively involved in programming tasks but focused more on overall direction, is called the navigator. While the driver is typing, the navigator is checking their work, or perhaps looking something up, or thinking about what's coming next. Then after about 20 minutes, they swap roles. This way both get to play each role. I pair program whenever I can at work. I like this aspect of social coding. One of my personal weaknesses is that I'll agonize over what to call a new variable function. I want to get it perfect, to make the code as readable as possible. Having someone else to bounce ideas off of helps me make those decisions faster. You might think that pair program is using twice the resources to get the same amount of work, but it's not like that. There are many benefits of pair programming. The first benefit is higher code quality. There's something about programming out loud that leads to clearer understanding of the code. In the past, when I wrote code, I wrote it alone, and then I explained it to someone, I would pick up on a bug as I was talking out loud. Like, I didn't see the bug when I was looking over the code in my head, but I saw it as I talked out loud. Having to explain code to someone forces clarity. This means that defects are found earlier, and that's a good thing because It lowers the maintenance cost right down the line. The later a defect is found in the process, the more it costs to fix. Pair programming also forces skills transfer, creating better programmers, like pair junior developers with senior developers. I do this all the time so that each one learns from the other's approach to a problem. They pick up tips and tricks that the other one uses, and it creates better programmers. You also get 2 sets of eyes on every line of code. You don't want code that only one person understands. Then that person goes on vacation. No one knows how to fix their code. Pair programming leads to better understanding of the code. More people understand the code well enough to fix and enhance it. In this video, you learn that social coding is done communally with public repositories, and all team members are encouraged to contribute. Pair programming results in higher quality code because defects are found earlier, costs are lowered, and there is a broader understanding of the code base.